Hello and welcome back to another video here on Greg's Runs Ultras. Today we're not running an ultra, we're going to go and do the third match of the cross-country season over at Stopsley. For those not from the local area, Stopsley is just on the outskirts of Luton, or is a suburb of Luton. So it's quite a local race really. It's 10 miles away from Lichworth, and highlighted in the blue circle, we'll be running around some fields that I don't know very well around there. So you can see really lovely countryside on the outskirts of Luton, but unfortunately you can see in the background some hills as well, so we'll be climbing those hills a bit later on as part of a 5-mile course around parts of Stopsley. The course itself, it's a sort of out and back loop, if you will. Start where the green dot is, and then we run in that straight line to the furthest away point before sort of returning to ourselves with a strange sort of M shape, and then retracing some of our steps uphill back for a big climb at the end into the finish line. And that was talk of everything beforehand, was everyone talking about this hill that they save up at the end. But anyway, no real big plans for today. I went along thinking this would be an excellent training run as part of my marathon routine. 5 miles is what I needed to do on Sunday anyway, and so I went along. But likewise, I wasn't feeling that great. I wasn't really feeling up for it, for running hard and strong, but quite often that's when I have my best run, so I wasn't going to hold back too much, and just a bit more of the scenery around sort of Luton, etc. Not quite the fields we were running around, but just a quick sort of context for where we were. So sports hole beforehand, people getting ready, and then it was quite a long walk actually to the start. It was a good 10-15 minute really, so we made our way over, got a feel for how cold it was, how crunchy the ground was underfoot, etc. Temperature still 1 degree, just above freezing here in the UK, and again the same sort of 5-6 local running clubs, triathlon clubs coming out to take part in this league event as part of the cross-country series. So here we are at the start. I've gone sort of middle of the pack really, maybe a bit further towards the back. You can see plenty of North Herts Road Runners to the left hand side. Don't know why, I was just stuck over to the right hand side, probably less of a walk to be honest with you. And just getting going, trying to find a little bit of space, trying to find some nice ground to run on. I think I started off a bit too much on the grass at this start bit here when everyone else had found nice muddy sort of well trodden paths, etc. But good start, lots of people talking about the hills to come, how they were just hoping to get round in one piece really and enjoy the cake at the end. So keeping the right kind of company at this point, but slowly starting to find a little bit of space, just work my way through the field a little. Doesn't really come across on the camera, but this is just a slight uphill, and we make it along to the first corner. Things are going well, sort of traces into a slight downhill, and there's lots of shouting from the marshals on this corner to watch the ice on the corner, and so I'm keeping an eye out for the ice, and I think I've made it around this corner, and everyone just sort of stops, and sure enough there on the left hand side is a huge puddle that's just frozen completely, and so people just a little bit of a bottleneck there in the first mile just to get navigating around that. Better to be safe than sorry, so good to do. And actually it's quite nice to have that little breather actually, because you always start cross country just a little bit too fast. Shout out to this lady in front of me from Leighton. I just piggybacked on the back of her really. She found a great line through these fields at this point, and I just clung onto the back of her and just followed her, so thank you for that. She appears again here. This is the first real climb, I would say. Whilst the start was slightly uphill, it didn't feel like an uphill, it felt like an up flat. This was a real hill in the first mile, and I was struggling to find sort of space to get through, etc. There was sort of gaps appearing, etc. I should have just stuck at this pace if I'm being honest with you, but I was feeling quite strong at this point. I was still debating how I was going to run this, whether I was just going to do it as a training run. So I thought what I'd do is I'd actually stretch the legs on this hill, go for it, and just see what happened. And almost as soon as I did it, so here we go, I think I'd go for it any time now, and put a real big effort in, get up this hill, get a little bit of shout of encouragement from one of the club mates there. Thank you, mate. And probably around this point I instantly start to regret it. So nice effort, felt good, and then could feel all the lactate building up in my legs, and it wasn't very good. It wasn't really a clever idea, But anyway, and those legs continued to burn for quite a long time thereafter as well. So all good, all part of cross-country fun, etc. Just hoping for the top of this hill to come, try and flush that lactate acid out of my legs. And this was the marshalling points for North Herts Road Runners. So Vicky on the right there, Astrid on the right as well, giving great support. They had a bell out, etc. So thanks to those guys coming out and standing out in the cold more than anything else. And then this was a lovely long downhill. So I haven't climbed that short, sharp hill up. Legs still had the lactate in them, still trying to flush that lactate out, but have a little chit chat with a fellow club mate at this point, talking about how she knew the course better than me. We were due to come along sort of this climb later on, and we go through approximately the first mile. I'm not sure where the mile markers were, but a 10:05 for a slightly uphill mile. I'll take that, and with the traffic at the start, happy days. But starting to feel good, the lactate sort of coming out of my legs now after that hill and that effort, and just starting to get into a pace, etc. And in fact, at this point, I'm starting to feel really quite strong. I've moved through quite a bit of the field at this point. I've overtaken quite a few people and continue to sort of make my way along this straight line here, enjoying it. It feels overall downhill, so just sort of stretching those legs, not really paying any attention to pace. I was watching the stride power meter and just watching my numbers. I was roughly running at 10 mile sort of pace. As far as the stride power meter was concerned, so keeping half an eye on that, but not religiously sticking to it or anything like that. And we're coming up now to very close to mile 2. We'll just see what that split was. So an 8:24 for what I think was an overall downhill mile, so happy with that. It wasn't downhill, it was just sort of slightly gradulating downhill, so really delighted to get sub 8:30. I would have been happy with sub 9, so to be in 8:30 territory, I'm happy with that. And then just keep working our way along this beautiful course. It was really lovely being up on these hills in this part of Luton. I'll have to come over this way again and research some of the routes, because it is practically on our doorstep, albeit with a little drive. But yeah, at one point I think I can remember thinking, shame about cross country is running so fast. It was beautiful to take in some of the views, and it would have been great to get an actual proper camera out and get some photography going on. So mile 3 coming up now, so an 8:36, again in that 8:30 category. I'm delighted with that, and not working so hard, but just putting in the effort and going along, etc. So little gaps have started to appear, etc., and I'm just working to sort of close the gaps and catch up with the people in front of me is the main aim that I've got, as well as getting distracted by the lovely scenery off to the right hand side. Just a little bit of a climb here, so shouting thank you to the marshal. Fair play to everyone who stood out on that course today in 1 degree, 2 degree condition, etc. There's a bit of a biting wind as well. It wasn't the most pleasant place to be supporting and marshalling, etc. But coming off the top of that hill there, again coming into the North Herts marshalling area, I guess it would be. Again, shout out from those guys. So thank you for the encouragement and support and coming out, etc. Just crested the top of a little hill, and now we've got a huge downhill coming up. So 9:18 for the mile 4. Again, happy with that given the number of hills in it. And now I really just struggle to find a sort of proper line coming down this hill. Sort of there's some ice patches, etc. I ended up going on the left hand side into grass and mud, etc. Whereas everyone else seemed to be finding a well trodden path, albeit you'll notice the runners up in front moving from the left and the right and going everywhere. Northampton runner will pass me shortly on the right hand side, and so I had the sense just to nip in behind them. They seem to be moving along more swiftly than me, so I thought I'll just follow their line down this hill and do everything I could to stick with them and let them bridge the gap to the runners in front. It's around this point that you look to the left and you can hear the finish line, and you can see the big hill that everyone was referring to at the start of the race. So you turn this corner to the left, and the finish is at the top of that tree line there, to the right hand side. So out of focus, out of vision on the camera, but you can certainly see it, and all you can see is this looming great big hill coming your way. And at this point I'm trying to work out what to do, whether to put in a bit more of an effort here and accept that I was probably going to be walking the hill anyway, or hang back a little, save a little bit in the legs and put a big effort in up the hill. In fact, what I probably did was neither, and I just kept on running at the same pace. But yeah, so all you can see, it takes a little while, it feels like a little while, it felt like forever when you're actually running it, but this hill's just looming along in the background. One of the finishers coming back, or a presumed finisher coming back to do some sporting there. I'm just sort of trying to keep the gaps consistent between the people in front, etc., and just try and hold a steady pace. So the video's bringing back memories. It felt this long with the hill looming in the background. You can start to see it sort of coming into view now. And basically, I decide, actually, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to run it a little bit harder than keeping a conservative pace. So let's start going. Well, no. So at this point I'm starting to think about all those good techniques like pumping the arms, etc., getting high knees, etc. Get a shout out from Tash on the left hand side. I didn't actually notice Tash, but thank you for the shout out. Feeling quite good here, having good fun getting up this hill. Decided that I'm going to run all the way up it, whatever happens, and so putting in real big effort, getting good shouts of encouragement, etc. And apparently I'm looking a bit too fresh for this point in the race. And I think it's around about this marshal here that I blow up, and I haven't got anything else to give. So whilst delighted to run up the hill, one of the things is to be able to run off the top of the hill and keep the effort going. At this point I'm walking and struggling, etc., and actually it's all really counterproductive. Everyone that I've just passed on that hill comes walking past me or running past me because they've been a bit more sensible with it. But hey, live and you learn. All good training, I think, make those legs a bit stronger in the long run. But giving it some thought about starting running again, etc., but really struggling, but decide better get going again. And then there's a shout from the crowd of, come on, catch that runner in front of you, and I kind of think that they're shouting out to someone just behind me. So I hear that and I decide, well, I'll take that advice, and I catch the guy in front from Bedford, and I keep going. And there's massive shout out here from this guy in North Herts, encouraged me all the way, but just couldn't make up the distance to get the next person. And it came in as 0.97 of a mile, but I'll claim it as a mile, so 5 miles. That last one in 8:20, and I think I did 44:57 or something overall. So there's Stopsley cross country done. Just 5 miles, ever slightly short. But really happy with that. Felt strong all the way round. Took on the big hill, but then I had to stop and walk at the end. So that was a bit of a counter effort, wasn't it? Should have just kept it consistent. But happy days, felt really strong all the way around. Got some sub 9 minute miles in there, 8:30s I think. So really happy with that. And yeah, can just feel a bit of training coming together, so happy days. I think that gym work's paying off, felt good. Lovely scenery here today, absolutely gorgeous. Just a bit on the cold side, but perfect when you're running, just need to get going. There's a few ice patches, so yeah, really good morning. Do a bit of a recap of the training week in a bit. Just going to support the last few runners coming in now, and then go and see what food and cake they've got on offer. Quick recap of the week that's just been. First of all, I've noticed I'm out of sync with Hansons Marathon Method. I'm actually doing week 4, whereas last week was referred to as week 3. So I'm going to stick with Hansons Marathon Method. There's a reason for it. I've started a week early, just because my mileage was so much higher than week 1. And also, I've got a stag do coming up, so I've actually allowed for practically no training that week. I've allowed an extra week to play catch up. So I'll flash the numbers up because I can't remember them exactly, but the total mileage for this week on the training plan according to Hansons Marathon Method is 21 miles, and this is open to interpretation, but I've done either 25 miles is how I class it, or I've done 30 miles. Basically on Tuesday I went to the running club. I'd already done my session in the morning at lunchtime, and there's someone who's returning back from injury who's also doing London Marathon this year, and so I said that I'd run walk with them. So I did an extra 5 miles, but at a conservative pace, run walking, etc. So I'm not counting that as part of the actual marathon training miles, but it's good to get some extra mileage in the leg. It never hurts to get a few extra miles in, especially if you're keeping the pace nice and gentle, etc. So from my point of view, 25 miles instead of 21, I'll take that. It's neither here nor there. Things are really still feeling really positive after yesterday's cross country. Things seem to be moving in the right direction, feeling quite strong. There's a point for the last 3 years where I've begrudged going out for every run just because it's been really, really hard work. Now runs don't feel like that anymore. I'm not saying they're easy by any stretch of the imagination, but they're not a complete slog. I think people returning from injury or returning to running will know that feeling, where the first 4-6 weeks are a real slog and you have to really get yourself out the door, etc. And you wouldn't really call any run enjoyable. I think I'm past that point now. It's taken a long time because of inconsistent running over the last 2 or 3 years. So lots of positives to be taken. As ever with marathon training, there's always some negatives in the background. So first up, I've got something going on with my left ankle, left calf. I've got something going on with my left ankle, left calf. I think at some point, I've not twisted it, I've not sprained it. I think I've probably landed slightly funny on my left calf at some point, left foot at some point in the last few weeks in training. It was particularly bad on Friday and Saturday. Interestingly, I was worried about it doing cross country yesterday. Didn't trouble me at all yesterday on cross country. And I thought it might trouble me afterwards, but after cross country it only troubled me for 5-10 minutes, 20 minutes yesterday evening. So it feels like it's on the way to recovery. So I'm just going to keep a watchful eye on that. I don't think it's going to stop me running at the moment. Just keeping an eye on that. So this is coming into week 5 of Hansons Marathon Method. It's the last week of that consistent sort of gentle running, just keeping those 5 runs a week. So hopefully this training, maybe some content we'll get a bit more creative with now that the actual workout sessions come along. So let's get through week 5. I think it calls for about 25 miles, give or take. So we'll churn those out, and then hopefully we can delve into some of the workouts that Hansons start to do in week 6, etc. So if you've got this far, thanks for watching along. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you and take care.